The third book of Moses, commonly called Leviticus. Chapter 1. And the voice of the Lord came to Moses out of the tent of meeting, saying, Give these orders to the children of Israel, when any one of you makes an offering to the Lord, you are to take it from the cattle, from the herd or from the flock. If the offering is a burnt offering of the herd, let him give a male without a mark. He is to give it at the door of the tent of meeting so that he may be pleasing to the Lord. And he is to put his hand on the head of the burnt offering and it will be taken for him, to take away his sin. And the ox is to be put to death before the Lord. Then Aaron's sons, the priests, are to take the blood and put some of it on and round the altar which is at the door of the tent of meeting. And the burnt offering is to be skinned and cut up into its parts. And Aaron's sons, the priests, are to put fire on the altar and put the wood in order on the fire, and Aaron's sons, the priests, are to put the parts, the head and the fat, in order on the wood which is on the fire on the altar, but its inside parts and its legs are to be washed with water, and it will all be burned on the altar by the priest for a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, for a sweet smell to the Lord. And if his offering is of the flock, a burnt offering of sheep or goats, let him give a male without a mark. And he is to put it to death on the north side of the altar before the Lord, and Aaron's sons, the priests, are to put some of the blood on and round the altar. And the offering is to be cut into its parts, with its head and its fat, and the priest is to put them in order on the wood which is on the fire on the altar, but the inside parts and the legs are to be washed with water, and the priest will make an offering of all of it, burning it on the altar. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, for a sweet smell to the Lord. And if his offering to the Lord is a burnt offering of birds, then he is to make his offering of doves or of young pigeons. And the priest is to take it to the altar, and after its head has been twisted off, it is to be burned on the altar, and its blood drained out on the side of the altar, and he is to take away its stomach, with its feathers, and put it down by the east side of the altar, where the burned waste is put, and let it be broken open at the wings, but not cut in two, and let it be burned on the altar by the priest on the wood which is on the fire. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire for a sweet smell to the Lord. Chapter 2. And when anyone makes a meal offering to the Lord, let his offering be of the best meal, with oil on it and perfume, and let him take it to Aaron's sons, the priests, and having taken in his hand some of the meal and of the oil, with all the perfume, let him give it to the priest to be burned on the altar, as a sign, an offering made by fire, for a sweet smell to the Lord. And the rest of the meal offering will be for Aaron and his sons. It is most holy among the Lord's fire offerings. And when you give a meal offering cooked in the oven, let it be of unleavened cakes of the best meal mixed with oil, or thin unleavened cakes covered with oil. And if you give a meal offering cooked on a flat plate, let it be of the best meal, unleavened and mixed with oil. Let it be broken into bits, and put oil on it. It is a meal offering. And if your offering is of meal cooked in fat over the fire, let it be made of the best meal mixed with oil. And you are to give the meal offering made of these things to the Lord, and let the priest take it to the altar. And he is to take from the meal offering a part, for a sign, burning it on the altar, an offering made by fire for a sweet smell to the Lord. And the rest of the meal offering will be for Aaron and his sons. It is most holy among the Lord's fire offerings. No meal offering which ye give to the Lord is to be made with leaven. No leaven or honey is to be burned as an offering made by fire to the Lord. You may give them as an offering of first fruits to the Lord, but they are not to go up as a sweet smell on the altar. And every meal offering is to be salted with salt. Your meal offering is not to be without the salt of the agreement of your God. With all your offerings give salt. And if you give a meal offering of first fruits to the Lord, give, as your offering of first fruits, new grain, made dry with fire, crushed new grain. And put oil on it and perfume. It is a meal offering. And part of the meal of the offering and part of the oil and all the perfume is to be burned for a sign by the priest. It is an offering made by fire to the Lord. Chapter 3. And if his offering is given for a peace offering, if he gives of the herd, male or female, let him give it without any mark on it, before the Lord. And he is to put his hand on the head of his offering and put it to death at the door of the tent of meeting. And Aaron's sons, the priests, are to put some of the blood on and round the altar. And he is to give of the peace offering, as an offering made by fire to the Lord, the fat covering the inside parts and all the fat on the inside parts, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat on them, which is by the top part of the legs, and the fat joining the liver and the kidneys, he is to take away, that it may be burned by Aaron's sons on the altar, on the burnt offering which is on the wood on the fire. It is an offering made by fire of a sweet smell to the Lord. And if what he gives for a peace offering to the Lord is of the flock, let him give a male or female, without any mark on it. If his offering is a lamb, then let it be placed before the Lord, and he is to put his hand on the head of his offering and put it to death before the tent of meeting, and Aaron's sons are to put some of its blood on and round the altar. And of the peace offering, let him give an offering made by fire to the Lord, the fat of it, all the fat tail, he is to take away near the backbone, and the fat covering the inside parts and all the fat on the inside parts, and the 2 kidneys, with the fat on them, which is by the top part of the legs, and the fat joining the liver and the kidneys, he is to take away, that it may be burned by the priest on the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire to the Lord. And if his offering is a goat, then let it be placed before the Lord, and let him put his hand on the head of it and put it to death before the tent of meeting, and the sons of Aaron are to put some of its blood on and round the altar. And of it let him make his offering, an offering made by fire to the Lord, the fat covering the inside parts and all the fat on the inside parts, and the 2 kidneys, with the fat on them, which is by the top part of the legs, and the fat joining the liver and the kidneys, let him take away, that it may be burned by the priest on the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet smell. All the fat is the Lord's. Let it be in order forever, through all your generations, in all your houses, that you are not to take fat or blood for food. Chapter 4. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, These are the offerings of anyone who does wrong through error, doing any of the things which by the Lord's order are not to be done. If the chief priest by doing wrong becomes a cause of sin to the people, then let him give to the Lord for the sin which he has done, an ox, without any mark, for a sin offering. And he is to take the ox to the door of the tent of meeting before the Lord, and put his hand on its head and put it to death before the Lord. And the chief priest is to take some of its blood and take it to the tent of meeting, and the priest is to put his finger in the blood, shaking drops of it before the Lord 7 times, in front of the veil of the holy place. And the priest is to put some of the blood on the horns of the altar on which perfume is burned before the Lord in the tent of meeting, draining out all the rest of the blood of the ox at the base of the altar of burnt offering which is at the door of the tent of meeting. And he is to take away all the fat of the ox of the sin offering, the fat covering the inside parts and all the fat of the inside parts, and the 2 kidneys, with the fat on them, which is by the top part of the legs, and the fat joining the liver and the kidneys, he is to take away, as it is taken from the ox of the peace offering, and it is to be burned by the priest on the altar of burnt offerings. And the skin of the ox and all its flesh, with its head and its legs and its inside parts and its waist, all the ox, he is to take away outside the circle of the tents into a clean place where the burned waste is put, and there it is to be burned on wood with fire. And if all the people of Israel do wrong, without anyone's knowledge, if they have done any of the things which by the Lord's order are not to be done, causing sin to come on them, when the sin which they have done comes to light, then let all the people give an ox for a sin offering, and take it before the tent of meeting. And let the chiefs of the people put their hands on its head before the Lord, and put the ox to death before the Lord. And the priest is to take some of its blood to the tent of meeting, and put his finger in the blood, shaking drops of the blood 7 times before the Lord in front of the veil. And he is to put some of the blood on the horns of the altar which is before the Lord in the tent of meeting, and all the rest of the blood is to be drained out at the base of the altar of burnt offering at the door of the tent of meeting. And he is to take off all its fat, burning it on the altar. Let him do with the ox as he did with the ox of the sin offering, and the priest will take away their sin and they will have forgiveness. Then let the ox be taken away outside the tent circle, that it may be burned as the other ox was burned. It is the sin offering for all the people. If a ruler does wrong, and in error does any of the things which, by the order of the Lord his God, are not to be done, causing sin to come on him, when the sin which he has done is made clear to him, let him give for his offering a goat, a male without any mark. And he is to put his hand on the head of the goat and put it to death in the place where they put to death the burnt offering before the Lord. It is a sin offering. And the priest is to take some of the blood of the offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, draining out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering. And all the fat of it is to be burned on the altar like the fat of the peace offering, and the priest will take away his sin and he will have forgiveness. And if any one of the common people does wrong in error, doing any of the things which the Lord has given orders are not to be done, causing sin to come on him, when the sin which he has done is made clear to him, then he is to give for his offering a goat, a female without any mark, for the sin which he has done. And he is to put his hand on the head of the sin offering and put it to death in the place where they put to death the burnt offering. And the priest is to take some of the blood with his finger, and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and all the rest of its blood is to be drained out at the base of the altar. And let all its fat be taken away, as the fat is taken away from the peace offerings, and let it be burned on the altar by the priest for a sweet smell to the Lord. And the priest will take away his sin and he will have forgiveness. And if he gives a lamb as his sin offering, let it be a female without any mark, and he is to put his hand on the head of the offering and put it to death for a sin offering in the place where they put to death the burnt offering. And the priest is to take some of the blood of the offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and all the rest of the blood is to be drained out at the base of the altar, and let him take away all its fat, as the fat is taken away from the lamb of the peace offerings, and let it be burned by the priest on the altar among the offerings made by fire to the Lord, and the priest will take away his sin and he will have forgiveness. Chapter 5. And if anyone does wrong by saying nothing when he is put under oath as a witness of something he has seen or had knowledge of, then he will be responsible. If anyone becomes unclean through touching unconsciously some unclean thing, such as the dead body of an unclean beast or of unclean cattle or of any unclean animal which goes flat on the earth, he will be responsible. Or if he becomes unclean through touching unconsciously any unclean thing of man, whatever it may be, when it is made clear to him he will be responsible. Or if anyone, without thought, takes an oath to do evil or to do good, whatever he says without thought, with an oath, having no knowledge of what he is doing, when it becomes clear to him, he will be responsible for any of these things. And whoever is responsible for any such sin, let him make a statement openly of his wrongdoing, and take to the Lord the offering for the wrong which he has done, a female from the flock, a lamb or a goat, for a sin offering, and the priest will take away his sin. And if he has not money enough for a lamb, then let him give, for his offering to the Lord, 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a sin offering and one for a burnt offering. And let him take them to the priest, who will first give the sin offering, twisting off its head from its neck, but not cutting it in two, and he is to put drops of the blood of the offering on the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood is to be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. And the second is for a burnt offering, in agreement with the law, and the priest will take away his sin and he will have forgiveness. But if he has not enough money for 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, then let him give, for the sin he has done, the 10th part of an ephah of the best meal, for a sin offering. Let him put no oil on it, and no perfume, for it is a sin offering. And let him come to the priest with it, and the priest will take some of it in his hand, to be burned on the altar as a sign, among the offerings of the Lord made by fire. It is a sin offering. And the priest will take away his sin and he will have forgiveness, and the rest of the offering will be the priest's, in the same way as the meal offering. And the Lord said to Moses, if anyone is untrue, sinning in error in connection with the holy things of the Lord, let him take his offering to the Lord, a male sheep from the flock, without any mark, of the value fixed by you in silver by shekels, by the scale of the holy place. And he is to make payment to the priest for what he has done wrong in relation to the holy thing, together with a 5th part of its value in addition, and the priest will take away his sin by the sheep of his offering, and he will have forgiveness. And if anyone does wrong, and does any of the things which the Lord has given orders are not to be done, though he has no knowledge of it, still he is in the wrong and he is responsible. Let him come to the priest with a sheep, a male without any mark out of the flock, of the value fixed by you, as an offering for his error, and the priest will take away the sin which he did in error, and he will have forgiveness. It is an offering for his error, he is certainly responsible before the Lord. Chapter 6. And the Lord said to Moses, if anyone does wrong, and is untrue to the Lord, acting falsely to his neighbor in connection with something put in his care, or something given for a debt, or has taken away anything by force, or has been cruel to his neighbor, or has taken a false oath about the loss of something which he has come across by chance, if a man has done any of these evil things, causing sin to come on him, then he will have to give back the thing he took by force or got by cruel acts, or the goods which were put in his care or the thing he came on by chance, or anything about which he took a false oath. he will have to give it all back, with the addition of a fifth of its value, to him whose property it is, when he has been judged to be in the wrong. Then let him take to the Lord the offering for his wrongdoing, giving to the priest for his offering, a male sheep from the flock, without any mark, of the value fixed by you, and the priest will take away his sin from before the Lord, and he will have forgiveness for whatever crime he has done. And the Lord said to Moses, "Give orders to Aaron and to his sons, saying, This is the law for the burnt offering. The offering is to be on the firewood on the altar all night till the morning, and the fire of the altar is to be kept burning. And the priest is to put on his linen robes and his linen trousers, and take up what is over of the offering after it has been burned on the altar, and put it by the side of the altar. Then having taken off his linen robes and put on other clothing, he is to take it away into a clean place, outside the tent circle. The fire on the altar is to be kept burning, it is never to go out. Every morning the priest is to put wood on it, placing the burnt offering in order on it, and there the fat of the peace offering is to be burned. Let the fire be kept burning on the altar at all times, it is never to go out. And this is the law for the meal offering, it is to be offered to the Lord before the altar by the sons of Aaron. The priest is to take in his hand some of the meal offering and of the oil of it, and all the perfume on it, burning it on the altar as a sign, for a sweet smell to the Lord. And whatever is over Aaron and his sons may have for their food, taking it without leaven in a holy place, in the open space of the tent of meeting they may take a meal of it. It is not to be cooked with leaven. I have given it to them as their part of the offerings made by fire to me, it is most holy, as are the sin offerings and the offerings for error. Every male among the children of Aaron may have it for food, it is their right forever through all your generations, from the offerings made by fire to the Lord, anyone touching them will be holy. And the Lord said to Moses, This is the offering which Aaron and his sons are to make to the Lord on the day when he is made a priest, the 10th part of an ephah of the best meal for a meal offering forever, half of it in the morning and half in the evening. Let it be made with oil on a flat plate. When it is well mixed and cooked, let it be broken and taken in as a meal offering, for a sweet smell to the Lord. And the same offering is to be given by that one of his sons who takes his place as priest, by an order forever, all of it is to be burned before the Lord. Every meal offering offered for the priest is to be completely burned, nothing of it is to be taken for food. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to Aaron and his sons, This is the law for the sin offering. The sin offering is to be put to death before the Lord in the same place as the burnt offering, it is most holy. The priest by whom it is offered for sin, is to take it for his food in a holy place, in the open space of the tent of meeting. Anyone touching the flesh of it will be holy, and if any of the blood is dropped on any clothing, the thing on which the blood has been dropped is to be washed in a holy place. But the vessel of earth in which the flesh was cooked is to be broken, or if a brass vessel was used, it is to be rubbed clean and washed out with water. Every male among the priests may take it for his food, it is most holy. No sin offering, the blood of which is taken into the tent of meeting, to take away sin in the holy place, may be used for food, it is to be burned with fire. Chapter 7. And this is the law of the offering for wrongdoing, it is most holy. They are to put to death the offering for wrongdoing in the same place as the burnt offering, and the priest is to put the blood on and round the altar. And all the fat of it, the fat tail and the fat covering the inside parts, is to be given as an offering. And the 2 kidneys, and the fat on them, which is by the top of the legs, and the fat joining the liver and the kidneys, he is to take away. They are to be burned by the priest on the altar for an offering made by fire to the Lord, it is an offering for wrongdoing. Every male among the priests may have it as food in a holy place, it is most holy. As is the sin offering, so is the offering for wrongdoing, there is one law for them, the priest who makes the offering to take away sin, he is to have it. And the priest offering any man's burnt offering for him, may have the skin of the burnt offering which is offered by him. And every meal offering which is cooked in the oven and everything made in a cooking pot or on a flat plate, is for the priest by whom it is offered. And every meal offering, mixed with oil or dry, is for all the sons of Aaron in equal measure. And this is the law for the peace offerings offered to the Lord. If any man gives his offering as a praise offering, then let him give with the offering, unleavened cakes mixed with oil and thin unleavened cakes covered with oil and cakes of the best meal well mixed with oil. With his peace offering let him give cakes of leavened bread, as a praise offering. And let him give one out of every offering to be lifted up before the Lord, that it may be for the priest who puts the blood of the peace offering on the altar. And the flesh of the praise offering is to be taken as food on the day when it is offered, no part of it may be kept till the morning. But if his offering is made because of an oath or given freely, it may be taken as food on the day when it is offered, and the rest may be used up on the day after. But if any of the flesh of the offering is still unused on the third day, it is to be burned with fire. And if any of the flesh of the peace offering is taken as food on the third day, it will not be pleasing to God and will not be put to the account of him who gives it. It will be unclean and a cause of sin to him who takes it as food. And flesh touched by any unclean thing may not be taken for food, it is to be burned with fire. And as for the flesh of the peace offerings, everyone who is clean may take it as food, but he who is unclean when he takes as food the flesh of the peace offerings, which are the Lord's, will be cut off from his people. And anyone who, after touching any unclean thing of man or an unclean beast or any unclean and disgusting thing, takes as food the flesh of the peace offerings, which are the Lord's, will be cut off from his people. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, You are not to take any fat, of ox or sheep or goat, for food. And the fat of that which comes to a natural death, and the fat of that which is attacked by beasts, may be used for other purposes, but not in any way for food. For anyone who takes as food the fat of any beast of which men make an offering by fire to the Lord, will be cut off from his people. And you are not to take for food any blood, of bird or of beast, in any of your houses. Whoever takes any blood for food will be cut off from his people. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, He who makes a peace offering to the Lord, is to give an offering to the Lord out of his peace offering. He himself is to take to the Lord the offering made by fire, even the fat with the breast, so that the breast may be waved for a wave offering before the Lord. And the fat is to be burned by the priest on the altar, but the breast is for Aaron and his sons. And the right leg you are to give to the priest for an offering to be lifted up out of what is given for your peace offerings. That man, among the sons of Aaron, by whom the blood of the peace offering and the fat are offered, is to have the right leg for his part. For the breast which is waved and the right leg which is lifted up on high I have taken from the children of Israel, from their peace offerings, and have given them to Aaron the priest and to his sons as their right forever from the children of Israel. This is the holy part given to Aaron and to his sons, out of the offerings made to the Lord by fire, on the day when they were made priests before the Lord, which the Lord said the children of Israel were to give them, on the day when he made them as priests. It is their right forever from generation to generation. These are the laws for the burnt offering, the meal offering, and the offering for wrongdoing, and for the making of priests, and for the giving of peace offerings, as they were given by the Lord to Moses on Mount Sinai, on the day when the Lord gave orders to the children of Israel to make their offerings to the Lord, in the wasteland of Sinai. Chapter 8. And the Lord said to Moses, Take Aaron, and his sons with him, and the robes and the holy oil and the ox of the sin offering and the 2 male sheep and the basket of unleavened bread, and let all the people come together at the door of the tent of meeting. And Moses did as the Lord said, and all the people came together at the door of the tent of meeting. And Moses said to the people, This is what the Lord has given orders to be done. Then Moses took Aaron and his sons, and after washing them with water, he put the coat on him, making it tied with its band, and then the robe, and over it the ephod, with its band of needlework to keep it in place. And he put the priest's bag on him, and in the bag he put the Urim and Thummim. And on his head he put the headdress, and in front of the headdress the plate of gold, the holy crown, as the Lord gave orders to Moses. And Moses took the holy oil and put it on the house and on all the things in it, to make them holy. 7 times he put oil on the altar and on all its vessels, and on the washing basin at its base, to make them holy. And some of the oil he put on Aaron's head, to make him holy. Then he took Aaron's sons, clothing them with the coats, and putting the bands round them, and the headdresses on their heads, as the Lord had given him orders. And he took the ox of the sin offering, and Aaron and his sons put their hands on the head of the ox, and he put it to death. And Moses took the blood and put it on the horns of the altar and round it with his finger, and made the altar clean, draining out the blood at the base of the altar, so he made it holy, taking away what was unclean. And he took all the fat on the inside parts, and the fat on the liver, and the 2 kidneys with their fat, to be burned on the altar. But the ox, with its skin and its flesh and its waist, was burned with fire outside the tent circle, as the Lord gave orders to Moses. And he put the male sheep of the burnt offering before the Lord, and Aaron and his sons put their hands on its head, and he put it to death, and Moses put some of the blood on and round the altar. And when the sheep had been cut into parts, the head and the parts and the fat were burned by Moses, and the inside parts and the legs were washed with water, and all the sheep was burned by Moses on the altar. It was a burnt offering for a sweet smell, it was an offering made by fire to the Lord, as the Lord gave orders to Moses. And he put the other sheep before the Lord, the sheep with which they were made priests, and Aaron and his sons put their hands on the head of the sheep, and he put it to death. And Moses took some of the blood and put it on the point of Aaron's right ear and on the thumb of his right hand and on the great toe of his right foot. Then he took Aaron's sons, and Moses put some of the blood on the point of their right ears and on the thumbs of their right hands and on the great toes of their right feet, and Moses put the blood on and round the altar. And he took the fat, and the fat tail, and the fat on the inside parts, and the fat on the liver, and the 2 kidneys with their fat, and the right leg. And out of the basket of unleavened bread which was before the Lord he took 1 unleavened cake, and 1 cake of bread with oil on it, and 1 thin cake, and put them on the fat and on the right leg, and he put them all on the hands of Aaron and on the hands of his sons, waving them for a wave offering before the Lord. And Moses took them from their hands, and they were burned on the altar on the burnt offering, as a priest's offering for a sweet smell, an offering made by fire to the Lord. And Moses took the breast, waving it for a wave offering before the Lord. It was Moses' part of the sheep of the priest's offering, as the Lord gave orders to Moses. And Moses took some of the holy oil and of the blood which was on the altar and put it on Aaron and on his robes, and on his sons' robes, and made Aaron holy, and his robes and his sons' robes with him. And Moses said to Aaron and to his sons, "The flesh is to be cooked in water at the door of the tent of meeting, and there you are to take it as food, together with the bread in the basket, as I have given orders, saying, It is the food of Aaron and his sons. And that which is over of the flesh and of the bread is to be burned with fire. And you are not to go out from the door of the tent of meeting for 7 days, till the days for making you priest are ended, for this will be the work of 7 days. What has been done this day, has been ordered by the Lord to take away your sin. And you are to keep watch for the Lord at the door of the tent of meeting day and night for 7 days, so that death may not come to you. For so he has given me orders." And Aaron and his sons did all the things about which the Lord had given orders through Moses. Chapter 9. And on the 8th day Moses sent for Aaron and his sons and the responsible men of Israel, and he said to Aaron, "Take a young ox for a sin offering and a male sheep for a burnt offering, without a mark, and make an offering of them before the Lord. And say to the children of Israel, Take a he-goat for a sin offering, and a young ox and a lamb, in their first year, without any mark on them, for a burnt offering, and an ox and a male sheep for peace offerings, to be put to death before the Lord, and a meal offering mixed with oil, for this day you are to see the Lord." And they took the things ordered by Moses, before the tent of meeting, and all the people came near, waiting before the Lord. And Moses said, "This is what the Lord has said you are to do, and you will see the glory of the Lord." And Moses said to Aaron, "Come nearer to the altar and make your sin offering and your burnt offering to take away your sin and the sin of the people, and make the people's offering to take away their sin, as the Lord has given orders." So Aaron came near to the altar and put to death the ox for the sin offering for himself, and the sons of Aaron gave him the blood, and he put his finger in the blood and put it on the horns of the altar, draining out the blood at the base of the altar. But the fat and the kidneys and the fat on the liver of the sin offering were burned by him on the altar as the Lord gave orders to Moses. And the flesh and the skin were burned with fire outside the tent circle, and he put to death the burnt offering. And Aaron's sons gave him the blood, and he put some of it on and round the altar, and they gave him the parts of the burnt offering, in their order, and the head, to be burned on the altar. And the inside parts and the legs, when they had been washed with water, were burned on the burnt offering on the altar. And he made an offering for the people and took the goat of the sin offering for the people and put it to death, offering it for sin, in the same way as the first. And he took the burnt offering, offering it in the ordered way, and he put the meal offering before the Lord, and taking some of it in his hand he had it burned on the altar, separately from the burnt offering of the morning. And he put to death the ox and the sheep, which were the peace offerings for the people, and Aaron's sons gave him the blood, and he put some of it on and round the altar. And as for the fat of the ox and the fat tail of the sheep and the fat covering the inside parts and the kidneys and the fat on the liver, they put the fat on the breasts, and the fat was burned on the altar. And Aaron took the breasts and the right leg, waving them for a wave offering before the Lord, as Moses gave orders. And Aaron, lifting up his hands to the people, gave them a blessing, and he came down from offering the sin offering, and the burnt offering, and the peace offerings. And Moses and Aaron went into the tent of meeting, and came out and gave the people a blessing, and the glory of the Lord was seen by all the people. And fire came out from before the Lord, burning up the offering on the altar and the fat, and when all the people saw it, they gave a loud cry, falling down on their faces. Chapter 10. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took their vessels and put fire in them and perfume, burning strange fire before the Lord, which he had not given them orders to do. And fire came out from before the Lord, burning them up and causing their destruction before the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, "This is what the Lord said, I will be holy in the eyes of all those who come near to me, and I will be honored before all the people." And Aaron said nothing. And Moses sent for Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Uzziel, the brother of Aaron's father, and said to them, "Come near and take your brothers away from before the holy place, outside the tent circle." So they came and took them, in their coats, outside the tent circle, as Moses had said. And Moses said to Aaron and to Eleazar and Itamar, his sons, "Do not let your hair be loose, and give no signs of grief, so that death may not overtake you, and his wrath come on all the people, but let there be weeping among your brothers and all the house of Israel for this burning of the Lord's fire. And do not go out from the door of the tent of meeting, or death will come to you, for the holy oil of the Lord is on you." And they did as Moses said. And the Lord said to Aaron, "Take no wine, or strong drink, you or your sons with you, when you go into the tent of meeting, that it may not be the cause of death to you. This is an order forever through all your generations. And make a division between the holy and the common, and between the unclean and the clean, teaching the children of Israel all the laws which the Lord has given them by the hand of Moses." And Moses said to Aaron and to Eleazar and Itamar, his sons who are still living, "Take the rest of the meal offering from the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and take it for your food, without leaven, at the side of the altar, for it is most holy. It is to be for your food in a holy place, because it is your right and your son's right, from the offerings of the Lord made by fire, for so am I ordered. And the breast which is waved and the leg which is lifted up on high, you are to take as your food in a clean place, you and your sons and your daughters with you, for they are given to you as your right and your son's right, from the peace offerings of the children of Israel. Let them take the breast which is waved and the leg which is lifted up on high, with the fat of the burnt offering, to be waved for a wave offering before the Lord, and this will be for you and for your sons with you, for a right forever, as the Lord has given orders." And Moses was looking for the goat of the sin offering, but it was burned, and he was angry with Eleazar and Itamar, the sons of Aaron, who were still living, saying, "Why did you not make a meal of the sin offering in the holy place? For it is most holy and he has given it to you, so that the sin of the people may be put on it, to take away their sin before the Lord. See, its blood was not taken into the holy place, certainly it was right for you to have taken it as food in the holy place, as I gave orders." And Aaron said to Moses, "You have seen that today they have made their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, and such things as these have come on me. If I had taken the sin offering as food today, would it have been pleasing to the Lord?" And after hearing this, Moses was no longer angry. Chapter 11. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Say to the children of Israel, These are the living things which you may have for food among all the beasts on the earth. You may have as food any beast which has a division in the horn of its foot, and whose food comes back into its mouth to be crushed again. But, at the same time, of those beasts, you may not take for food the camel, because its food comes back but the horn of its foot is not parted in two, it is unclean to you. And the rock badger, for the same reason, is unclean to you. And the hare, because the horn of its foot is not parted in two, is unclean to you. And the pig is unclean to you, because though the horn of its foot is parted, its food does not come back. Their flesh may not be used for food, and their dead bodies may not even be touched, they are unclean to you. These you may have for food of all things living in the water, anything living in the water, in the seas or rivers, which has special parts for swimming and skin formed of thin plates, may be used for food. All other things living and moving in the water, in the sea or in the rivers, are a disgusting thing to you. They may not be used for food, and their dead bodies are disgusting to you. Anything in the water which has no special parts for swimming and no thin plates on its skin is disgusting to you. And among birds these are to be disgusting to you, and not to be used for food: the eagle and the gyre-eagle and the osprey, and the kite and the falcon, and birds of that sort, every raven, and birds of that sort, and the ostrich and the nighthawk and the seahawks, and birds of that sort, and the little owl and the cormorant and the great owl, and the waterhen and the pelican and the vulture, the stork and the heron, and birds of that sort, and the hoopoe and the bat. Every winged four-footed thing which goes on the earth is disgusting to you, but of the winged four-footed things, those which have long legs for jumping on the earth you may have for food, such as all the different sorts of locust. But all other winged four-footed things which go on the earth are disgusting to you. By these you will be made unclean. Anyone touching their dead bodies will be unclean till evening. Whoever takes away the dead body of one of them is to have his clothing washed, and will be unclean till evening. Every beast, in the horn of whose foot there is not a complete division, and whose food does not come back, is unclean to you. Anyone touching one of these will be unclean. Any four-footed beast which goes on the ball of its foot, is unclean to you. Anyone touching the dead body of one of these will be unclean till evening. Anyone who takes away the dead body of one of these is to have his clothing washed and be unclean till evening. And these are unclean to you among things which go low down on the earth: the weasel and the mouse and the great lizard, and animals of that sort, and the ferret and the land crocodile and the lizard and the sand lizard and the chameleon. All these are unclean to you. Anyone touching them when they are dead will be unclean till evening. The dead body of any of these, falling on anything, will make that thing unclean. If it is any vessel of wood, or clothing, or skin, or bag, whatever it is, if it is used for any purpose, it will have to be put into water, and will be unclean till evening. After that it will be clean. And if one of them gets into any vessel of earth, whatever is in the vessel will be unclean, and the vessel will have to be broken. Any food in it, and anything on which water from it comes, will be unclean. Any drink taken from such a vessel will be unclean. Any part of the dead body of one of these, falling on anything, will make it unclean. If it is an oven or a cooking pot it will have to be broken. They are unclean and will be unclean to you. But at the same time a fountain or a place where water is stored for use will be clean, but anyone touching their dead bodies will be unclean. If any part of the dead body of one of these gets onto any seed for planting, it is clean, but if water is put on the seed, and any part of the dead body gets onto it, it will be unclean to you. And if any beast which may be used for food comes to a natural death, anyone touching its dead body will be unclean till evening. And he who makes use of any part of its body for food is to have his clothing washed and be unclean till evening, and anyone taking away its body is to have his clothing washed and be unclean till evening. Everything which goes flat on its body on the earth is disgusting, and is not to be used for food. Whatever goes on its stomach or on 4 feet or has a great number of feet, even all those going flat on the earth, may not be used for food, for they are disgusting. You are not to make yourselves disgusting with anything which goes about flat on the earth. You may not make yourselves unclean with them, in such a way that you are not holy to me. For I am the Lord your God. For this reason, make and keep yourselves holy, for I am holy. You are not to make yourselves unclean with any sort of thing which goes about flat on the earth. For I am the Lord, who took you out of the land of Egypt, to be your God. So be you holy, for I am holy. This is the law about beasts and birds and every living thing moving in the waters, and every living thing which goes flat on the earth, marking out the unclean from the clean, and the living thing which may be used for food from that which may not. Chapter 12. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, If a woman is with child and gives birth to a male child, she will be unclean for 7 days, as when she is unwell. And on the 8th day let him be given circumcision. And she will be unclean for 33 days till the flow of her blood is stopped. No holy thing may be touched by her, and she may not come into the holy place, till the days for making her clean are ended. But if she gives birth to a female child, then she will be unclean for 2 weeks, as when she is unwell, and she will not be completely clean for 66 days. And when the days are ended for making her clean for a son or a daughter, let her take to the priest at the door of the tent of meeting, a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering and a young pigeon or a dove for a sin offering, and the priest is to make an offering of it before the Lord and take away her sin. and she will be made clean from the flow of her blood. This is the law for a woman who gives birth to a male or a female. And if she has not money enough for a lamb, then let her take 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, one for a burnt offering and the other for a sin offering, and the priest will take away her sin and she will be clean. Chapter 13. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, If a man has on his skin a growth or a mark or a white place, and it becomes the disease of a leper, let him be taken to Aaron the priest, or to one of the priests, his sons, and if, when the priest sees the mark on his skin, the hair on the place is turned white and the mark seems to go deeper than the skin, it is the mark of a leper, and the priest, after looking at him, will say that he is unclean. But if the mark on his skin is white, and does not seem to go deeper than the skin, and the hair on it is not turned white, then the priest will keep him shut up for 7 days, and the priest is to see him on the 7th day, and if, in his opinion, the place on his skin has not become worse and is not increased in size, then the priest will keep him shut up for 7 days more, and the priest is to see him again on the 7th day, and if the mark is less bright and is not increased on his skin, then let the priest say that he is clean, it is only a skin mark, and after his clothing has been washed he will be clean. But if the size of the mark on his skin is increased after he has been seen by the priest, let him go to the priest again, and if, after looking at him, he sees that the mark is increased in his skin, let the priest say that he is unclean, he is a leper. When the disease of a leper is seen on a man, let him be taken to the priest, and if the priest sees that there is a white growth on the skin, and the hair is turned white, and there is diseased flesh in the growth, it is an old disease in the skin of his flesh, and the priest will say that he is unclean, he will not have to be shut up, for he is clearly unclean. And if the disease comes out all over his skin, from his head to his feet, as far as the priest is able to see, and if the priest sees that all his flesh is covered with the leper's disease, the priest will say that he is clean, it is all turned white, he is clean. But whenever diseased flesh is seen on him, he will be unclean. And when the priest sees the diseased flesh he will say that he is unclean, the diseased flesh is unclean, he is a leper. Or if the diseased flesh is turned again and changed to white, then he is to come to the priest, and the priest will see him, and if the place is turned white, then the priest will say that he is free from the disease. And if a bad place has come out on the skin and is well again, and on the same place there is a white growth of a bright mark, red and white, then let the priest see it, and after looking at it, if it seems to go deeper than the skin, and the hair on it is turned white, then the priest will say that the man is unclean, it is the leper's disease, it has come out in the bad place. But if, after looking at it, he sees that there are no white hairs on it, and it is not deeper than the skin, and it is not very bright, then let the priest keep him shut up for 7 days, and if it is increasing on the skin, the priest will say that he is unclean, it is a disease. But if the bright mark keeps in the same place and gets no greater, it is the mark of the old wound, and the priest will say that he is clean. Or if there is a burn on the skin of the flesh, and if the diseased flesh in the burn becomes a bright place, red and white or white, the priest is to see it, and if the hair on the bright place is turned white and it seems to go deeper than the skin, he is a leper, it has come out in the burn, and the priest will say that he is unclean, it is the leper's disease. But if, after looking at it, the priest sees that there is no white hair on the bright place, and it is not deeper than the skin, and is not very bright, then let the priest keep him shut up for 7 days, and the priest is to see him again on the 7th day. If it is increased in the skin, then the priest will say that he is unclean, it is the leper's disease. And if the bright place keeps the same size and gets no greater on the skin, but is less bright, it is the effect of the burn, and the priest will say that he is clean, it is the mark of the burn. And when a man or a woman has a disease on the head, or in the hair of the chin, then the priest is to see the diseased place, and if it seems to go deeper than the skin, and if there is thin yellow hair in it, then the priest will say that he is unclean, he has the mark of the leper's disease on his head or in the hair of his chin. And after looking at the diseased place, if it does not seem to go deeper than the skin, and there is no black hair in it, then the priest will have him shut up for 7 days, and on the 7th day the priest will see the place, and if it is not increased, and there is no yellow hair in it, and it does not seem to go deeper than the skin, then his hair is to be cut off, but not on the diseased place, and he is to be shut up for 7 days more, and on the 7th day the priest will see the place, and if it is not increased, and does not seem to go deeper than the skin, the priest will say that he is clean, and after his clothing has been washed he will be clean. But if the disease in his skin becomes worse after he has been made clean, then the priest is to see him, and if the mark is increased, the priest, without looking for the yellow hair, will say that he is unclean. But if, in his opinion, the growth has stopped, and black hair has come up on it, the disease has gone, he is clean and the priest will say that he is clean. And if a man or a woman has bright marks on the skin of their flesh, that is, bright white marks, then the priest is to see them, and if the white marks on their skin are not very bright, it is a skin disease which has come out on the skin, he is clean. And if a man's hair has come out and he has no hair, still he is clean. And if the hair has gone from the front part of his head, so that he has no hair there, still he is clean. But if, on his head or on his brow, where he has no hair, there is a red and white place, it is the disease of the leper coming out on his head or on his brow. Then if the priest sees that the growth of the disease has become red and white on his head or on his brow where there is no hair, like the mark in the skin of a leper, he is a leper and unclean. The priest is to say that he is most certainly unclean, the disease is in his head. And the leper who has the disease on him is to go about with signs of grief, with his hair loose and his mouth covered, crying, "Unclean, unclean." While the disease is on him, he will be unclean. He is unclean, let him keep by himself, living outside the tent circle. And any clothing of wool or of linen in which is the mark of the disease, if it is in the threads of the linen or of the wool, or in leather, or in anything made of skin, if there are red or green marks on the clothing, or on the leather, or in the threads of the cloth, or in anything made of skin, it is the leper's disease, let the priest see it, and after it has been seen by the priest, the thing which is so marked is to be shut up for 7 days, and he is to see the mark on the 7th day. If the mark is increased in the clothing, or in the threads of the material, or in the leather, whatever the leather is used for, it is the disease biting into it, it is unclean. And the clothing, or the wool or linen material, or anything of leather in which is the disease, is to be burned, for the disease is biting into it, let it be burned in the fire. And if the priest sees that the mark is not increased in the clothing or in any part of the material or in the leather, then the priest will give orders for the thing on which the mark is, to be washed, and to be shut up for 7 days more. And if, after the mark has been washed, the priest sees that the color of it is not changed and it is not increased, it is to be burned in the fire, the disease is working in it, though the damage may be inside or outside. And if the priest sees that the mark is less bright after the washing, then let him have it cut out of the clothing or the leather or from the threads of the material. And if the mark is still seen in the clothing or in the threads of the material or in the leather, it is the disease coming out, the thing in which the disease is will have to be burned with fire. And the material of the clothing, or anything of skin, which has been washed, if the mark has gone out of it, let it be washed a second time and it will be clean. This is the law about the leper's disease in the thread of wool or linen material, in clothing or in anything of skin, saying how it is to be judged clean or unclean. Chapter 14. And the Lord said to Moses, "This is the law of the leper on the day when he is made clean, he is to be taken to the priest, and the priest is to go outside the tent circle, and if, after looking, the priest sees that the mark of the disease has gone from him, then the priest is to give orders to take, for him who is to be made clean, 2 living clean birds and some cedar wood and red thread and hyssop. And the priest will give orders for one of the birds to be put to death in a vessel made of earth, overflowing water. And he will take the living bird and the wood and the red thread and the hyssop and put them in the blood of the bird which was put to death overflowing water. And shaking it 7 times over the man who is to be made clean, he will say that he is clean and will let the living bird go free into the open country. And he who is to be made clean will have his clothing washed and his hair cut and have a bath, and he will be clean. And after that he will come back to the tent circle, but he is to keep outside his tent for 7 days. And on the 7th day he is to have all the hair cut off his head and his chin and over his eyes, all his hair is to be cut off, and he will have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and he will be clean. And on the 8th day let him take 2 male lambs, without any marks on them, and 1 female lamb of the first year, without a mark, and 3/10 parts of an ephah of the best meal, mixed with oil, and 1 log of oil. And the priest who is making him clean will put the man who is being made clean, together with these things, before the door of the tent of meeting. And the priest is to take one of the male lambs and give it as an offering for wrongdoing, and the log of oil, waving them for a wave offering before the Lord, and he is to put the male lamb to death in the place where they put to death the sin offering and the burnt offering, in the holy place, for as the sin offering is the property of the priest, so is the offering for wrongdoing, it is most holy. And let the priest take some of the blood of the offering for wrongdoing and put it on the point of the right ear of him who is to be made clean, and on the thumb of his right hand and on the great toe of his right foot, and take some of the oil and put it in the hollow of his left hand, and let the priest put his right finger in the oil which is in his left hand, shaking it out with his fingers 7 times before the Lord, and of the rest of the oil which is in his hand, the priest will put some on the point of the right ear of the man who is to be made clean, and on the thumb of his right hand and on the great toe of his right foot, over the blood of the offering for wrongdoing, and the rest of the oil in the priest's hand he will put on the head of him who is to be made clean, and so the priest will make him free from sin before the Lord. And the priest will give the sin offering, and take away the sin of him who is to be made clean from his unclean condition, and after that he will put the burnt offering to death. And the priest is to have the burnt offering and the meal offering burned on the altar, and the priest will take away his sin and he will be clean. And if he is poor and not able to get so much, then he may take 1 male lamb as an offering for a wrongdoing, to be waved to take away his sin, and 1/10 part of an ephah of the best meal mixed with oil for a meal offering, and a log of oil, and 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to get, and one will be for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. And on the 8th day he will take them to the priest, to the door of the tent of meeting before the Lord, so that he may be made clean. And the priest will take the lamb of the offering for wrongdoing and the oil, waving them for a wave offering before the Lord, and he will put to death the lamb of the offering for wrongdoing, and the priest will take some of the blood of the offering for wrongdoing and put it on the point of the right ear of him who is to be made clean, and on the thumb of his right hand and on the great toe of his right foot, and the priest will put out some of the oil in the hollow of his left hand, shaking out drops of oil with his right finger before the Lord 7 times, and the priest will put some of the oil which is in his hand on the point of the ear of the man who is to be made clean and on the thumb of his right hand and on the great toe of his right foot, on the place where the blood of the offering for wrongdoing was put, and the rest of the oil which is in the priest's hand he will put on the head of him who is to be made clean, to take away his sin before the Lord. And he will make an offering of 1 of the doves or the young pigeons, such as he is able to get, and of these, he will give 1 for a sin offering and 1 for a burnt offering, with the meal offering, and the priest will take away the sin of him who is to be made clean before the Lord. This is the law for the man who has the disease of the leper on him, and who is not able to get that which is necessary for making himself clean. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "When you have come into the land of Canaan which I will give you for your heritage, if I put the leper's disease on a house in the land of your heritage, then let the owner of the house come and say to the priest, 'It seems to me that there is a sort of leper's disease in the house.' And the priest will give orders for everything to be taken out of the house, before he goes in to see the disease, so that the things in the house may not become unclean, and then the priest is to go in to see the house, and if he sees that the walls of the house are marked with hollows of green and red, and if it seems to go deeper than the face of the wall, then the priest will go out of the door of the house, and keep the house shut up for 7 days. And the priest is to come again on the 7th day and have a look and see if the marks on the walls of the house are increased in size. Then the priest will give orders to them to take out the stones in which the disease is seen, and put them out into an unclean place outside the town, and he will have the house rubbed all over inside, and the paste which is rubbed off will be put out into an unclean place outside the town, and they will take other stones and put them in place of those stones. And he will take other paste and put it on the walls of the house. And if the disease comes out again in the house after he has taken out the stones and after the walls have been rubbed and the new paste put on, then the priest will come and see it. And if the disease in the house is increased in size, it is the leper's disease working out in the house, it is unclean. And the house will have to be pulled down, the stones of it and the wood and the paste, and everything is to be taken out to an unclean place outside the town. And, in addition, anyone who goes into the house at any time, while it is shut up, will be unclean till evening. And anyone who has been sleeping in the house will have to have his clothing washed, and anyone who takes food in that house will have to have his clothing washed. And if the priest comes in, and sees that the disease is not increased after the new paste has been put on the house, then the priest will say that the house is clean, because the disease is gone. And in order to make the house clean, Let him take 2 birds and cedar wood and red thread and hyssop, and put one of the birds to death in a vessel of earth over flowing water, and take the cedar wood and the hyssop and the red thread and the living bird and put them in the blood of the dead bird and in the flowing water, shaking it over the house 7 times. And he will make the house clean with the blood of the bird and the flowing water and with the living bird and with the cedar wood and the hyssop and the red thread. But he will let the living bird go out of the town into the open country, so he will take away sin from the house and it will be clean. This is the law for all signs of the leper's disease and for skin diseases, and for signs of disease in clothing, or in a house, and for a growth or a bad place or a bright mark on the skin, to make clear when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the law about the disease of the leper. Chapter 15. And the Lord said to Moses and to Aaron, Say to the children of Israel, If a man has an unclean flow from his flesh, it will make him unclean. If the flow goes on or if the part is stopped up, to keep back the flow, he is still unclean. Every bed on which he has been resting will be unclean, and everything on which he has been seated will be unclean. And anyone touching his bed is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And he who has been seated on anything on which the unclean man has been seated is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And anyone touching the flesh of the unclean man is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And if liquid from the mouth of the unclean man comes onto him who is clean, then he is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And any leather seat on a horse on which the unclean man has been seated will be unclean. And anyone touching anything which was under him will be unclean till the evening. Anyone taking up any of these things is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And anyone on whom the unclean man puts his hands, without washing them in water, is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And any vessel of earth which has been touched by the unclean man will have to be broken and any vessel of wood washed. And when a man who has a flow from his body is made clean from it, he is to take 7 days to make himself clean, washing his clothing and bathing his body in flowing water, and then he will be clean. And on the 8th day he is to take 2 doves or 2 young pigeons and come before the Lord to the door of the tent of meeting and give them to the priest, and they are to be offered by the priest, one for a sin offering and one for a burnt offering, and the priest will take away his sin before the Lord on account of his flow. And if a man's seed goes out from him, then all his body will have to be bathed in water and he will be unclean till evening. And any clothing or skin on which the seed comes is to be washed with water and be unclean till evening. And if a man has sex relations with a woman and his seed goes out from him, the 2 of them will have to be bathed in water and will be unclean till evening. And if a woman has a flow of blood from her body, she will have to be kept separate for 7 days, and anyone touching her will be unclean till evening. And everything on which she has been resting, while she is kept separate, will be unclean, and everything on which she has been seated will be unclean, and anyone touching her bed will have to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. And anyone touching anything on which she has been seated will have to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening. Anyone touching anything on the bed or on the thing on which she has been seated, will be unclean till evening. And if any man has sex relations with her so that her blood comes on him, he will be unclean for 7 days and every bed on which he has been resting will be unclean. And if a woman has a flow of blood for a long time, not at the time when she generally has it, or if the flow goes on longer than the normal time, she will be unclean while the flow of blood goes on, as she is at other normal times. Every bed on which she has been resting will be unclean, as at the times when she normally has a flow of blood, and everything on which she has been seated will be unclean, in the same way. And anyone touching these things will be unclean, and his clothing will have to be washed and his body bathed in water and he will be unclean till evening. But when her flow of blood is stopped, after 7 days she will be clean. And on the 8th day let her get 2 doves or 2 young pigeons and take them to the priest to the door of the tent of meeting, to be offered by the priest, one for a sin offering and one for a burnt offering, and the priest will take away her sin before the Lord on account of her unclean condition. In this way may the children of Israel be made free from all sorts of unclean conditions, so that death may not overtake them when they are unclean and when they make unclean my holy place which is among them. This is the law for the man who has a flow from his body, or whose seed goes from him so that he is unclean, and for her who has a flow of blood, and for any man or woman who has an unclean flow, and for him who has sex relations with a woman when she is unclean. Chapter 16. And the Lord said to Moses, after the death of the two sons of Aaron when they took in strange fire before the Lord and death overtook them, the Lord said to Moses, say to Aaron, your brother, that he may not come at all times into the holy place inside the veil, before the cover which is on the ark, for fear that death may overtake him, for I will be seen in the cloud on the cover of the ark. Let Aaron come into the holy place in this way, with an ox for a sin offering and a male sheep for a burnt offering. Let him put on the holy linen coat, and the linen trousers on his body, and the linen band round him, and the linen headdress on his head, for this is holy clothing, and before he puts them on his body is to be washed with water. And let him take from the children of Israel 2 he-goats for a sin offering and 1 male sheep for a burnt offering. And Aaron is to give the ox of the sin offering for himself, to make himself and his house free from sin, and he is to take the 2 goats and put them before the Lord at the door of the tent of meeting. And Aaron will make selection from the 2 goats by the decision of the Lord, 1 goat for the Lord and 1 for Azazel. And the goat which is marked out for the Lord, let Aaron give for a sin offering. But the goat for Azazel is to be placed living before the Lord, for the taking away of sin, that it may be sent away for Azazel into the wasteland. And Aaron is to give the ox of the sin offering for himself and take away sin from himself and his house, and put to death the ox of the sin offering which is for himself. And he is to take a vessel full of burning coal from the altar before the Lord and in his hand some sweet perfume crushed small, and take it inside the veil, and let him put the perfume on the fire before the Lord so that the ark may be covered with a cloud of the smoke of the perfume, in order that death may not overtake him. And let him take some of the blood of the ox, shaking drops of it from his finger on the cover of the ark on the east side, and before it, 7 times. Then let him put to death the goat of the sin offering for the people, and take its blood inside the veil and do with it as he did with the blood of the ox, shaking drops of it on and before the cover of the ark. And let him make the holy place free from whatever is unclean among the children of Israel and from their wrongdoing and all their sins, and let him do the same for the tent of meeting, which has its place among an unclean people. And no man may be in the tent of meeting from the time when Aaron goes in to take away sin in the holy place till he comes out, having made himself and his house and all the people of Israel free from sin. And he is to go out to the altar which is before the Lord and make it free from sin, and he is to take some of the blood of the ox and the blood of the goat and put it on the horns of the altar and round it, shaking drops of the blood from his finger on it 7 times to make it holy and clean from whatever is unclean among the children of Israel. And when he has done whatever is necessary to make the holy place and the tent of meeting and the altar free from sin, let him put the living goat before the Lord, and Aaron, placing his 2 hands on the head of the living goat, will make a public statement over him of all the evil doings of the children of Israel and all their wrongdoing, in all their sins, and he will put them on the head of the goat and send him away, in the care of a man who will be waiting there, into the wasteland. And the goat will take all their sins into a land cut off from men, and he will send the goat away into the wasteland. Then let Aaron come into the tent of meeting and take off the linen clothing which he put on when he went into the holy place, and put them down there. And after bathing his body in water in a holy place, he is to put on his clothing and come out and give his burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people, to take away his sin and the sin of the people. And the fat of the sin offering is to be burned by him on the altar. And the man who takes away the goat for Azazel is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water, and then he may come back to the tent circle. And the ox of the sin offering and the goat of the sin offering, whose blood was taken in to make the holy place free from sin, are to be taken away outside the tent circle, and their skins and their flesh and their waste are to be burned with fire. And the man by whom they are burned is to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water, and then he may come back to the tent circle. And let this be an order to you forever: in the 7th month, on the 10th day, you are to keep yourselves from pleasure and do no sort of work, those who are Israelites by birth and those from other lands who are living among you, for on this day your sin will be taken away and you will be clean. You will be made free from all your sins before the Lord. It is a special Sabbath for you, and you are to keep yourselves from pleasure. It is an order forever. And the man on whose head the holy oil has been put, and who has been marked out to be a priest in his father's place, will do what is necessary to take away sin, and will put on the linen clothing, even the holy robes, and he will make the holy place and the tent of meeting and the altar free from sin. He will take away sin from the priests and from all the people. And let this be an order forever for you, so that the sin of the children of Israel may be taken away once every year." And he did as the Lord gave orders to Moses. Chapter 17. And the Lord said to Moses, "Say to Aaron and to his sons and to all the children of Israel, this is the order which the Lord has given. If any man of Israel puts to death an ox or a lamb or a goat, in or outside the tent circle, and has not taken it to the door of the tent of meeting, to make an offering to the Lord, before the Lord's house, its blood will be on him, for he has taken life, and he will be cut off from among his people, so that the children of Israel may take to the Lord, to the door of the tent of meeting and to the priest, the offerings which they have put to death in the open country, and that they may make their peace offerings to the Lord. And the priest will put blood on the altar of the Lord at the door of the tent of meeting, burning the fat for a sweet smell to the Lord. And let them make no more offerings to evil spirits, after which they have gone, turning away from the Lord. Let this be a law to them forever, through all their generations. And say to them, if any man of Israel, or any other living among them, makes a burnt offering or other offering, and does not take it to the door of the tent of meeting to make an offering to the Lord, that man will be cut off from among his people. And if any man of Israel, or any other living among them, takes any sort of blood for food, my wrath will be turned against that man and he will be cut off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in its blood, and I have given it to you on the altar to take away your sin, for it is the blood which makes free from sin because of the life in it. For this reason I have said to the children of Israel, no man among you, or any others living with you, may take blood as food. And any man of Israel, or any other living among them, who gets with his bow any beast or bird used for food, is to see that its blood is covered with earth. For the blood is the life of all flesh, and so I have said to the children of Israel, you may not take any sort of blood as food, and any man who does so will be cut off. And anyone who takes as food anything which has come to a natural end, or anything which has been put to death by beasts, if he is one of you by birth, or of another nation, will have to have his clothing washed and his body bathed in water and be unclean till evening, and then he will be clean. Chapter 18. And the Lord said to Moses, say to the children of Israel, I am the Lord your God. You may not do those things which were done in the land of Egypt where you were living, and you may not do those things which are done in the land of Canaan where I am taking you, or be guided in your behavior by their rules. But you are to be guided by my decisions and keep my rules, and be guided by them. I am the Lord your God. So keep my rules and my decisions, which, if a man does them, will be alive to him. I am the Lord. You may not have sex connection with anyone who is a near relation. I am the Lord. You may not have sex relations with your father or your mother. She is your mother. You may not take her. And you may not have sex relations with your father's wife. She is your father's. You may not take your sister, the daughter of your father or of your mother, wherever her birth took place, among you or in another country. You may not have sex relations with your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter, for they are part of yourself, or your father's wife's daughter, the child of your father, for she is your sister. You may not have sex connection with your father's sister, for she is your father's near relation. You may not have sex connection with your mother's sister, for she is your mother's near relation. You may not have sex relations with the wife of your father's brother, for she is of your family, or with your daughter-in-law, for she is your son's wife, and you may not take her. You may not have sex relations with your brother's wife, for she is your brother's. You may not take his wife a woman and her daughter, or her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter, for they are of one family. It is an act of shame. And you may not take his wife a woman and at the same time her sister, to be in competition with her in her lifetime. And you may not go near a woman or have sex relations with her when she is unclean, at her regular time. And you may not have sex relations with your neighbor's wife, making yourself unclean with her. And you may not make any of your children go through the fire as an offering to Moloch, and you may not put shame on the name of your God. I am the Lord. You may not have sex relations with men, as you do with women. It is a disgusting thing. And you may not have sex relations with a beast, making yourself unclean with it, and a woman may not give herself to a beast. It is an unnatural act. Do not make yourself unclean in any of these ways, for so have those nations whom I am driving out from before you made themselves unclean, and the land itself has become unclean, so that I have sent on it the reward of its wrongdoing. and the land itself puts out those who are living in it. So then keep my rules and my decisions, and do not do any of these disgusting things, those of you who were Israelites by birth, or any others who are living with you, for all these disgusting things were done by the men of this country who were there before you, and the land has been made unclean by them, so that the land may not put you out from it, when you make it unclean, as it put out the nations which were there before you. For all those who do any of these disgusting things will be cut off from among their people. So then, keep my orders, so that you may not do any of these disgusting things which were done before you, or make yourselves unclean through them. I am the Lord your God. Chapter 19. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to all the people of Israel, You are to be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Let every man give honor to his mother and to his father and keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Do not go after false gods, and do not make metal images of gods for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. And when you give a peace offering to the Lord, do it in the way which is pleasing to the Lord. Let it be used for food on the same day on which it is offered, or on the day after, and whatever is over on the third day is to be burned with fire. If any of it is used for food on the third day, it is a disgusting thing and will not be pleasing to the Lord. And as for anyone who takes it for food, his sin will be on him, for he has put shame on the holy thing of the Lord. He will be cut off from his people. And when you get in the grain from your land, do not let all the grain be cut from the edges of the field, or take up what has been dropped on the earth after the getting in of the grain. And do not take all the grapes from your vine garden, or the fruit dropped on the earth. Let the poor man, and the man from another country, have these. I am the Lord your God. Do not take anyone's property or be false in act or word to another. And do not take an oath in my name falsely, putting shame on the name of your God. I am the Lord. Do not be cruel to your neighbor or take what is his. Do not keep back a servant's payment from him all night till the morning. Do not put a curse on those who have no hearing, or put a cause of falling in the way of the blind, but keep the fear of your God before you. I am the Lord. Do no wrong in your judging. Do not give thought to the position of the poor, or honor to the position of the great, but be a judge to your neighbor in righteousness. Do not go about saying untrue things among your people, or take away the life of your neighbor by false witness. I am the Lord. Let there be no hate in your heart for your brother, but you may make a protest to your neighbor, so that he may be stopped from doing evil. Do not make attempts to get equal with one who has done you wrong, or keep hard feelings against the children of your people, but have love for your neighbor as for yourself. I am the Lord. Keep my laws. Do not let your cattle have offspring by those of a different sort. Do not put mixed seed into your field. Do not put on a robe made of two sorts of cloth. If any man has sex relations with a servant woman who has given her word to be married to a man, and has not been made free for a price or in any other way, the thing will be looked into, but they will not be put to death because she was not a free woman. Let him take his offering for wrongdoing to the Lord, to the door of the tent of meeting. Let him give a male sheep as an offering for a wrongdoing. And the priest will take away his sin before the Lord with the sheep which is offered for his wrongdoing, and he will have forgiveness for the sin which he has done. And when you have come into the land, and have put in all sorts of fruit trees, their fruit will be as if they had not had circumcision, and for 3 years their fruit may not be used for food. And in the 4th year all the fruit will be holy as a praise offering to the Lord. But in the 5th year you may take the fruit and the increase of it for your food. I am the Lord your God. Nothing may be used for food with its blood in it. You may not make use of strange arts, or go in search of signs and wonders. The ends of the hair round your face and on your chin may not be cut off. You may not make cuts in your flesh in respect for the dead, or have marks printed on your bodies. I am the Lord. Do not make your daughter common by letting her become a loose woman, for fear that the land may become full of shame. Keep my Sabbaths and have respect for my holy place. I am the Lord. Do not go after those who make use of spirits, or wonder workers. Do not go in their ways or become unclean through them. I am the Lord your God. Get up from your seats before the white-haired, and give honor to the old, and let the fear of your God be before you. I am the Lord. And if a man from another country is living in your land with you, do not make life hard for him. Let him be to you as one of your countrymen and have love for him as for yourself, for you are living in a strange land, in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Do not make false decisions in questions of yardsticks and weights and measures. Have true scales, true weights and measures for all things. I am the Lord your God. who took you out of the land of Egypt. You are to keep all my rules and my decisions and do them. I am the Lord. Chapter 20. And the Lord said to Moses, again, say to the children of Israel, if any man of the children of Israel, or any other man living in Israel, gives his offspring to Moloch, he is certainly to be put to death. He is to be stoned by the people of the land, and my face will be turned against that man, and he will be cut off from his people, because he has given his offspring to Moloch, making my holy place unclean, and making my holy name common. And if the people of the land do not take note of that man when he gives his offspring to Moloch, and do not put him to death, then my face will be turned against him and his family, and he and all those who do evil with him will be cut off from among their people. And whoever goes after those who make use of spirits and wonder-workers, doing evil with them, against him will my face be turned, and he will be cut off from among his people. So make and keep yourselves holy, for I am the Lord your God. And keep my rules and do them, I am the Lord, who make you holy. Every man cursing his father or his mother is certainly to be put to death. Because of his curse on his father or his mother, his blood will be on him. And if a man has sex relations with another man's wife, even the wife of his neighbor, he and she are certainly to be put to death. And the man who has sex relations with his father's wife has put shame on his father, the two of them are to be put to death, their blood will be on them. And if a man has sex relations with his son's wife, the two of them are to be put to death, it is unnatural, their blood will be on them. And if a man has sex relations with a man, the two of them have done a disgusting thing, let them be put to death, their blood will be on them. And if a man takes as wife a woman and her mother, it is an act of shame, let them be burned with fire, all three of them, so that there may be no shame among you. And if a man has sex relations with a beast, let him be put to death, and let the beast be put to destruction. And if a woman goes near a beast and has sex relations with it, you will put an end to the woman and the beast, their blood will be on them. And if a man takes his sister, daughter of his father or his mother, and has sex relations with her and she with him, it is an act of shame, they are to be cut off before the children of their people. He has had sex relations with his sister, and his sin will be on him. And if a man has sex relations with a woman at the time when she is unwell, he has seen her fountain and she has let the fountain of her blood be uncovered, and the two of them are to be cut off from among their people. And you may not have sex connection with your mother's sister or your father's sister, for they are his near relations, their sin will be on them. And if a man has sex relations with the wife of his father's brother, he has put shame on his father's brother, their sin will be on them, till the day of their death they will have no children. And if a man takes his brother's wife, it is an unclean act, he has put shame on his brother, they will have no children. So then, keep my rules and my decisions and do them, so that the land which I am giving you as your resting place may not violently send you out again. And do not keep the rules of the nations which I am driving out before you, for they did all these things, and for that reason my soul was turned against them. But I have said to you, you will take their land and I will give it to you for your heritage, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God who have made you separate from all other peoples. So then, make division between the clean beast and the unclean, and between the clean bird and the unclean. Do not make yourselves disgusting by any beast or bird or anything which goes flat on the earth, which has been marked by me as unclean for you. And you are to be holy to me, for I the Lord am holy and have made you separate from the nations, so that you may be my people. Any man or woman who makes use of spirits, or who is a wonder-worker, is to be put to death. They are to be stoned with stones, their blood will be on them. Chapter 21. And the Lord said to Moses, say to the priests, the sons of Aaron, let no man make himself unclean for the dead among his people, but only for his near relations, for his mother or his father, his son or his daughter, and his brother, and for his sister, a virgin, for she is his near relation and has had no husband, he may make himself unclean. But let him, being a chief among his people, not make himself unclean in such a way as to put shame on himself. They are not to have their hair cut off for the dead, or the hair on their chins cut short, or make cuts in their flesh. Let them be holy to their God and not make the name of their God common, for the fire offerings of the Lord and the bread of their God are offered by them, and they are to be holy. They may not take as wife a loose or common woman, or one who has been put away by her husband, for the priest is holy to his God. And he is to be holy in your eyes, for by him the bread of your God is offered. He is to be holy in your eyes, for I the Lord, who make you holy, am holy. And if the daughter of a priest makes herself common and by her loose behavior puts shame on her father, let her be burned with fire. And he who is the chief priest among his brothers, on whose head the holy oil has been put, who is marked out to put on the holy robes, may not let his hair go loose or have his clothing out of order as a sign of sorrow. He may not go near any dead body or make himself unclean for his father or his mother. He may not go out of the holy place or make the holy place of his God common, for the crown of the holy oil of his God is on him. I am the Lord. And let him take as his wife one who has not had relations with a man. A widow, or one whose husband has put her away, or a common woman of loose behavior, may not be the wife of a priest, but let him take a virgin from among his people. And he may not make his seed unclean among his people, for I the Lord have made him holy. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to Aaron, if a man of your family, in any generation, is damaged in body, let him not come near to make the offering of the bread of his God. For any man whose body is damaged may not come near, one who is blind, or has not the use of his legs, or one who has a broken nose or any unnatural growth, or a man with broken feet or hands, or one whose back is bent, or one who is unnaturally small, or one who has a damaged eye, or whose skin is diseased, or whose sex parts are damaged. No man of the offspring of Aaron whose body is damaged in any way may come near to give the fire offerings of the Lord. He is damaged, he may not come near to make the offerings. He may take of the bread of God, the holy and the most holy, but he may not go inside the veil or come near the altar, because he is damaged, and he may not make my holy places common, for I the Lord have made them holy. Chapter 22. And the Lord said to Moses, Give orders to Aaron and to his sons to keep themselves separate from the holy things of the children of Israel which they give to me, and not to make my holy name common. I am the Lord. Say to them, If any man of all your seed through all your generations, being unclean, comes near the holy things which the children of Israel make holy to the Lord, he will be cut off from before me. I am the Lord. No man of the seed of Aaron who is a leper, or who has a flow from his body, may take of the holy food till he is clean. And any man touching anything which is unclean because of the dead, or any man whose seed goes from him, or anyone touching any unclean thing which goes flat on the earth, or someone by whom he may be made unclean in any way whatever, any person touching any such unclean thing will be unclean till evening, and may not take of the holy food till his flesh has been bathed in water, and when the sun has gone down he will be clean, and after that he may take part in the holy food, because it is his bread. That which comes to a natural death, or is attacked by beasts, he may not take as food, for it will make him unclean. I am the Lord. So then, let them keep what I have put into their care, for fear that sin may come on them because of it, so causing their death because they have made it common. I am the Lord, who make them holy. No outside person may take of the holy food, or one living as a guest in the priest's house, or a servant working for payment. But any person for whom the priest has given money, to make him his, may take of it with him, and those who come to birth in his house may take of his bread. And if the daughter of a priest is married to an outside person she may not take of the holy things which are lifted up as offerings. But if a priest's daughter is a widow, or parted from her husband, and has no child, and has come back to her father's house as when she was a girl, she may take of her father's bread, but no outside person may do so. And if a man takes the holy food in error, he will have to give the holy thing back to the priest, with the addition of a fifth part. And they may not make common the holy things which the children of Israel give to the Lord, so causing sin to come on them when they take their holy things for food. I am the Lord who make them holy. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to Aaron and to his sons and to all the children of Israel, If any man of the children of Israel, or of another nation living in Israel, makes an offering, given because of an oath or freely given to the Lord for a burnt offering, so that it may be pleasing to the Lord, let him give a male, without any mark, from among the oxen or the sheep or the goats. But anything which has a mark you may not give, it will not make you pleasing to the Lord. And whoever makes a peace offering to the Lord, in payment of an oath or as a free offering, from the herd or the flock, if it is to be pleasing to the Lord, let it be free from any mark or damage. Anything blind or broken or damaged or having any disease or any mark on it may not be offered to the Lord. You may not make an offering of it by fire on the altar to the Lord. An ox or a lamb which has more or less than its natural parts, may be given as a free offering, but it will not be taken in payment of an oath. An animal which has its sex parts damaged or crushed or broken or cut, may not be offered to the Lord. Such a thing may not be done anywhere in your land. And from one who is not an Israelite you may not take any of these for an offering to the Lord, for they are unclean, there is a mark on them, and the Lord will not be pleased with them. And the Lord said to Moses, When an ox or a sheep or a goat is given birth, let it be with its mother for 7 days, and after the 8th day it may be taken as an offering made by fire to the Lord. A cow or a sheep may not be put to death with its young on the same day. And when you make an offering of praise to the Lord, make it in a way which is pleasing to Him. Let it be used for food on the same day, do not keep any part of it till the morning, I am the Lord. So then, keep my orders and do them, I am the Lord. And do not make my holy name common, so that it may be kept holy by the children of Israel. I am the Lord who make you holy, who took you out of the land of Egypt that I might be your God, I am the Lord. Chapter 23. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, These are the fixed feasts of the Lord, which you will keep for holy meetings, these are my feasts. On 6 days work may be done, but the 7th day is a special day of rest, a time for worship. You may do no sort of work, it is a Sabbath to the Lord wherever you may be living. These are the fixed feasts of the Lord, the holy days of worship which you will keep at their regular times. In the 1st month, on the 14th day of the month at nightfall, is the Lord's Passover, and on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. For 7 days let your food be unleavened bread. On the 1st day you will have a holy meeting, you may do no sort of field work. And every day for 7 days you will give a burnt offering to the Lord, and on the 7th day there will be a holy meeting, you may do no field work. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, When you have come to the land which I will give you, and have gotten the grain from its fields, take some of the first fruits of the grain to the priest, and let the grain be waved before the Lord, so that you may be pleasing to him. On the day after the Sabbath let it be waved by the priest. And on the day of the waving of the grain, you are to give a male lamb of the first year, without any mark, for a burnt offering to the Lord. And let the meal offering with it be 2/10 parts of an ephah of the best meal mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to the Lord for a sweet smell, and the drink offering with it is to be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. And you may take no bread or dry grain or new grain for food till the very day on which you have given the offering for your God. This is a rule forever through all your generations wherever you are living. And let 7 full weeks be numbered from the day after the Sabbath, the day when you give the grain for the wave offering. Let 50 days be numbered, to the day after the 7th Sabbath, then you are to give a new meal offering to the Lord. Take from your houses 2 cakes of bread, made of a 5th part of an ephah of the best meal, cooked with leaven, to be waved for first fruits to the Lord. And with the bread, take 7 lambs of the first year, without any marks, and 1 ox and 2 male sheep, to be a burnt offering to the Lord, with their meal offering and their drink offerings, an offering of a sweet smell made by fire to the Lord. And you are to give 1 male goat for a sin offering and 2 male lambs of the first year for peace offerings. And these will be waved by the priest, with the bread of the first fruits, for a wave offering to the Lord. With the 2 lambs, they will be holy to the Lord for the priest. And on the same day, let it be given out that there will be a holy meeting for you. You may do no field work on that day, it is a rule forever through all your generations wherever you are living. And when you get in the grain from your land, do not let all the grain at the edges of the field be cut, and do not take up the grain which has been dropped in the field, let that be for the poor, and for the man from another country. I am the Lord your God. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, In the 7th month, on the 1st day of the month, let there be a special day of rest for you, a day of memory, marked by the blowing of horns, a meeting for worship. Do no field work and give to the Lord an offering made by fire. And the Lord said to Moses, The 10th day of this 7th month is the day for the taking away of sin, let it be a holy day of worship, you are to keep from pleasure, and give to the Lord an offering made by fire. And on that day you may do no sort of work, for it is a day of taking away sin, to make you clean before the Lord your God. For any person, whoever he may be, who takes his pleasure on that day will be cut off from his people. And if any person, whoever he may be, on that day does any sort of work, I will send destruction on him from among his people. You may not do any sort of work. This is an order forever through all your generations wherever you may be living. Let this be a Sabbath of special rest to you, and keep yourselves from all pleasure. On the 9th day of the month at nightfall from evening to evening, let this Sabbath be kept. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, On the 15th day of the 7th month let the Feast of Tents be kept to the Lord for 7 days. On the first day there will be a holy meeting. Do no field work. Every day for 7 days give an offering made by fire to the Lord, and on the 8th day there is to be a holy meeting, when you are to give an offering made by fire to the Lord. This is a special holy day. You may do no field work on that day. These are the fixed feasts of the Lord, to be kept by you as holy days of worship, for making an offering by fire to the Lord, a burnt offering, a meal offering, an offering of beasts, and drink offerings, every one on its special day, in addition to the Sabbaths of the Lord, and in addition to the things you give and the oaths you make in the free offerings to the Lord. But on the 15th day of the 7th month, when you have gotten all the fruits of the land, you will keep the feast of the Lord for 7 days. The first day will be a Sabbath, and the 8th day the same. On the first day, take the fruit of fair trees, branches of palm trees, and branches of thick trees and trees from the riverside, and be glad before the Lord for 7 days. And let this feast be kept before the Lord for 7 days in the year. It is a rule forever from generation to generation. In the 7th month let it be kept. For 7 days you will be living in tents. All those who are Israelites by birth are to make tents their living places, so that future generations may keep in mind how I gave the children of Israel tents as their living places when I took them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And Moses made clear to the children of Israel the orders about the fixed feasts of the Lord. Chapter 24. And the Lord said to Moses, Give orders to the children of Israel to give you clean olive oil for the light, so that a light may be burning at all times, outside the veil of the ark in the tent of meeting. Let Aaron see that it is burning from evening till morning at all times before the Lord. It is a rule forever through all your generations. Let Aaron put the lights in order on the support before the Lord at all times. And take the best meal and make 12 cakes of it, a fifth part of an ephah in every cake. And put them in 2 lines, 6 in a line, on the holy table before the Lord. And on the lines of cakes put clean sweet-smelling spices, for a sign on the bread, an offering made by fire to the Lord. Every Sabbath day regularly, the priest is to put it in order before the Lord. It is offered for the children of Israel, an agreement made forever. And it will be for Aaron and his sons. They are to take it for food in a holy place. It is the most holy of all the offerings made by fire to the Lord, a rule forever. And a son of an Israelite woman, whose father was an Egyptian, went out among the children of Israel and had a fight with the man of Israel by the tents. And the son of the Israelite woman said evil against the holy name, with curses, and they took him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelemith, the daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. And they kept him shut up, till a decision might be given by the mouth of the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, Take the cursor outside the tent circle, and let all in whose hearing the words were said put their hands on his head, and let him be stoned by all the people. And say to the children of Israel, As for any man cursing God, his sin will be on his head. And he who says evil against the name of the Lord will certainly be put to death. He will be stoned by all the people, the man who is not of your nation and one who is an Israelite by birth. Whoever says evil against the holy name is to be put to death. And anyone who takes another's life is certainly to be put to death. And anyone wounding a beast and causing its death, will have to make payment for it, a life for a life. And if a man does damage to his neighbor, as he has done, so let it be done to him, wound for wound, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, whatever damage he has done, so let it be done to him. He who puts a beast to death will have to make payment for it. He who puts a man to death will himself be put to death. You are to have the same law for a man of another nation living among you as for an Israelite, for I am the Lord your God. And Moses said these words to the children of Israel, and they took the man who had been cursing outside the tent circle and had him stoned. The children of Israel did as the Lord gave orders to Moses. Chapter 25. And the Lord said to Moses on Mount Sinai, Say to the children of Israel, When you come into the land which I will give you, let the land keep a Sabbath to the Lord. For 6 years put seed into your land, and for 6 years give care to your vines and get in the produce of them, but let the 7th year be a Sabbath of rest for the land, A Sabbath to the Lord. Do not put seed into your land or have your vines cut. That which comes to growth of itself may not be cut, and the grapes of your uncared for vines may not be taken off. Let it be a year of rest for the land. And the Sabbath of the land will give food for you and your manservant and your womanservant and those working for payment, and for those of another country who are living among you, and for your cattle and the beasts on the land. All the natural increase of the land will be for food. And let 7 Sabbaths of years be numbered to you, 7 times 7 years, even the days of 7 Sabbaths of years, that is 49 years. Then let the loud horn be sounded far and wide on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the day of taking away sin let the horn be sounded through all your land. And let this 50th year be kept holy, and say publicly that everyone in the land is free from debt. It is the Jubilee, and every man may go back to his heritage and to his family. Let this 50th year be the Jubilee, no seed may be planted, and that which comes to growth of itself may not be cut, and the grapes may not be taken from the uncared for vines. For it is the Jubilee, and it is holy to you. Your food will be the natural increase of the field. In this year of Jubilee, let every man go back to his heritage. And in the business of trading goods for money, do no wrong to one another. Let your exchange of goods with your neighbors have relation to the number of years after the year of Jubilee, and the number of times the earth has given her produce. If the number of years is great, the price will be increased, and if the number of years is small, the price will be less. For it is the produce of a certain number of years which the man is giving you. And do no wrong, one to another, but let the fear of your God be before you, for I am the Lord your God. So keep my rules and my decisions and do them, and you will be safe in your land. And the land will give her fruit, and you will have food in full measure and be safe in the land. And if you say, where will our food come from in the 7th year, when we may not put in seed, or get in the increase, then I will send my blessing on you in the 6th year. And the land will give fruit enough for 3 years. And in the 8th year you will put in your seed, and get your food from the old stores, till the fruit of the 9th year is ready. No exchange of land may be forever, for the land is mine, and you are as my guests, living with me for a time. Wherever there is property in land, the owner is to have the right of getting it back. If your brother becomes poor, and has to give up some of his land for money, his nearest relation may come and get back that which his brother has given up. And if he has no one to get it back for him, and later he himself gets wealth and has enough money to get it back, then let him take into account the years from the time when he gave it up, and make up the loss for the rest of the years to him who took it, and so get back his property. But if he is not able to get it back for himself, then it will be kept by him who gave a price for it, till the year of Jubilee, and in that year it will go back to its first owner and he will have his property again. And if a man gives his house in a walled town for money, he has the right to get it back for the space of a full year after he has given it up. And if he does not get it back by the end of the year, then the house in the town will become the property of him who gave the money for it, and of his children forever. It will not go from him in the year of Jubilee. But houses in small unwalled towns will be the same as property in the country. They may be got back, and they will go back to their owners in the year of Jubilee. But the houses in the towns of the Levites may be got back by the Levites at any time, and if a Levite does not give money to get back his property, his house in the town which was exchanged for money will come back to him in the year of Jubilee. For the houses of the towns of the Levites are their property among the children of Israel. But the land on the outskirts of their towns may not be exchanged for money, for it is their property forever. And if your brother becomes poor and is not able to make a living, then you are to keep him with you, helping him as you would a man from another country who is living among you. Take no interest from him, in money or in goods, but have the fear of your God before you, and let your brother make a living among you. Do not take interest on the money which you let him have or on the food which you give him. I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan, that I might be your God. And if your brother becomes poor and gives himself to you for money, do not make use of him like a servant who is your property, but let him be with you as a servant working for payment, till the year of Jubilee. Then he will go out from you, he and his children with him, and go back to his family and to the property of his fathers. For they are my servants whom I took out from the land of Egypt. They may not become the property of another. Do not be a hard master to him, but have the fear of God before you. But you may get servants as property from among the nations round about. From them you may take men servants and women servants. And in addition, you may get, for money, servants from among the children of other nations who are living with you, and from their families which have come to birth in your land, and these will be your property, and they will be your children's heritage after you, to keep as their property. They will be your servants forever, but you may not be hard masters to your countrymen, the children of Israel. And if one from another nation living among you gets wealth, and your countryman, at his side, becomes poor and gives himself for money to the man from another nation or to one of his family, after he has given himself he has the right to be made free, for a price, by one of his brothers, or his father's brother, or the son of his father's brother, or any near relation, or if he gets money, he may make himself free. And let the years be numbered from the time when he gave himself to his owner till the year of Jubilee, and the price given for him will be in relation to the number of years, on the scale of the payment of a servant. If there is still a long time, he will give back, on account of it, a part of the price which was given for him. And if there is only a short time, he will take account of it with his master, and in relation to the number of years he will give back the price of making him free. And he will be with him as a servant working for payment year by year. His master is not to be cruel to him before your eyes. And if he is not made free in this way, he will go out in the year of Jubilee, he and his children with him. For the children of Israel are servants to me, they are my servants whom I took out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Chapter 26. Do not make images of false gods, or put up an image cut in stone or a pillar or any pictured stone in your land, to give worship to it, for I am the Lord your God. Keep my Sabbaths and give honor to my holy place, I am the Lord. If you are guided by my rules, and keep my laws and do them, then I will give you rain at the right time, and the land will give her increase and the trees of the field will give their fruit, and the crushing of the grain will overtake the cutting of the grapes, and the cutting of the grapes will overtake the planting of the seed, and there will be bread in full measure, and you will be living in your land safely. And I will give you peace in the land, and you will take your rest and no one will give you cause for fear, and I will put an end to all evil beasts in the land, and no sort of war will go through your land. And you will put to flight those who are against you, and they will be put to death by your swords. Then 5 of you will put to flight 100, and 100 of you will put to flight 10,000, and all who are against you will be put to death by your swords. And I will have pleasure in you and make you fertile and greater in number, and I will keep my agreement with you. And old stores long kept will be your food, and you will take out the old because of the new. And I will put my holy house among you, and my soul will not be turned away from you in disgust. And I will be present among you and will be your God and you will be my people. I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt so that you might not be servants to them. By me the cords of your yoke were broken and I made you go upright. But if you do not give ear to me, and do not keep all these my laws, and if you go against my rules and if you have hate in your souls for my decisions and you do not do all my orders, but go against my agreement, this will I do to you. I will put fear in your hearts, even wasting disease and burning pain, drying up the eyes and making the soul feeble, and you will get no profit from your seed, for your haters will take it for food. And my face will be turned from you, and you will be broken before those who are against you, and your haters will become your rulers, and you will go in flight when no man comes after you. And if, even after these things, you will not give ear to me, then I will send you punishment 7 times more for your sins. And the pride of your strength will be broken, and I will make your heaven as iron and your earth as brass, and your strength will be used up without profit, for your land will not give her increase and the trees of the field will not give their fruit. And if you still go against me and will not give ear to me, I will put 7 times more punishments on you because of your sins. I will let loose the beasts of the field among you, and they will take away your children and send destruction on your cattle, so that your numbers will become small and your roads become waste. And if by these things you will not be turned to me, but still go against me, then I will go against you, and I will give you punishment, I myself, 7 times for all your sins. And I will send a sword on you to give effect to the punishment of my agreement, and when you come together into your towns I will send disease among you and you will be given up into the hands of your haters. When I take away your bread of life, 10 women will be cooking bread in one oven, and your bread will be measured out by weight. You will have food but never enough. And if, after all this, you do not give ear to me, but go against me still, then my wrath will be burning against you, and I will give you punishment, I myself, 7 times for your sins. Then you will take the flesh of your sons and the flesh of your daughters for food, and I will send destruction on your high places, overturning your perfume altars, and will put your dead bodies on your broken images, and my soul will be turned from you in disgust. And I will make your towns waste and send destruction on your holy places. I will take no pleasure in the smell of your sweet perfumes, and I will make your land a waste, a wonder to your haters living in it. And I will send you out in all directions among the nations, and my sword will be uncovered against you, and your land will be without any living thing, and your towns will be made waste. Then will the land take pleasure in its Sabbaths while it is waste and you are living in the land of your haters. Then will the land have rest. All the days while it is waste will the land have rest, such rest as it never had in your Sabbaths, when you were living in it. And as for the rest of you, I will make their hearts feeble in the land of their haters, and the sound of a leaf moved by the wind will send them in flight, and they will go in flight as from the sword, falling down when no one comes after them, falling on one another, as before the sword, when no one comes after them. You will give way before your haters. And death will overtake you among strange nations, and the land of your haters will be your destruction. And those of you who are still living will be wasting away in their sins in the land of your haters, in the sins of their fathers they will be wasting away. And they will have grief for their sins and for the sins of their fathers, when their hearts were untrue to me, and they went against me, so that I went against them and sent them away into the land of their haters. If then the pride of their hearts is broken and they take the punishment of their sins, then I will keep in mind the agreement which I made with Jacob and with Isaac and with Abraham, and I will keep in mind the land. And the land, while she is without them, will keep her Sabbaths, and they will undergo the punishment of their sins, because they were turned away from my decisions and in their souls was hate for my laws. But for all that, when they are in the land of their haters I will not let them go, or be turned away from them, or give them up completely. My agreement with them will not be broken, for I am the Lord their God. And because of them I will keep in mind the agreement which I made with their fathers, whom I took out of the land of Egypt before the eyes of the nations, to be their God. I am the Lord. These are the rules, decisions, and laws, which the Lord made between himself and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai, by the hand of Moses. Chapter 27. And the Lord said to Moses, Say to the children of Israel, if a man makes a special oath, you will give your decision as to the value of the persons for the Lord. And you will put the value of a male from 20 years to 60 years old at 50 shekels of silver, by the scale of the holy place. And if it is a female, the value will be 30 shekels. And if the person is from 5 to 20 years old, the value will be 20 shekels for a male, and 10 for a female. And if the person is from 1 month to 5 years old, then the value for a male will be 5 shekels of silver, and for a female 3 shekels. And for 60 years old and over, for a male the value will be 15 shekels, and for a female, 10. But if he is poorer than the value which you have put on him, then let him be taken to the priest, and the priest will put a value on him, such as it is possible for him to give. And if it is a beast of which men make offerings to the Lord, whatever any man gives of such to the Lord will be holy. It may not be changed in any way, a good given for a bad, or a bad for a good. If one beast is changed for another, the two will be holy. And if it is any unclean beast, of which offerings are not made to the Lord, then let him take the beast before the priest, and let the priest put a value on it. If it is good or bad, whatever value the priest puts on it, so will it be. But if he has a desire to get it back for himself, let him give a fifth more than your value. And if a man has given his house as holy to the Lord, then the priest will put a value on it. If it is good or bad, as the priest gives decision, so will the value be fixed. And if the owner has a desire to get back his house, let him give a fifth more than your value, and it will be his. And if a man gives to the Lord part of the field which is his property, then let your value be in relation to the seed which is planted in it. A measure of barley grain will be valued at 50 shekels of silver. If he gives his field from the year of Jubilee, the value will be fixed by your decision. But if he gives his field after the year of Jubilee, the amount of the money will be worked out by the priest in relation to the number of years till the coming year of Jubilee, and the necessary amount will be taken off your value. And if the man who has given the field has a desire to get it back, let him give a fifth more than the price at which it was valued, and it will be his. But if he has no desire to get it back, or if he has given it for a price to another man, it may not be got back again. But the field, when it becomes free at the year of Jubilee, will be holy to the Lord, as a field given under oath, it will be the property of the priest. And if a man gives to the Lord a field which he has got for money from another, which is not part of his heritage, then the value fixed by you up to the year of Jubilee will be worked out for him by the priest, and in that day he will give the amount of your value as holy to the Lord. In the year of Jubilee the field will go back to him from whom he got it, that is, to him whose heritage it was. And let all your values be based on the shekel of the holy place, that is, 20 gerahs to the shekel. But a man may not give by oath to the Lord the first fruits of cattle which are offered to the Lord. If it is an ox or a sheep it is the Lord's. And if it is an unclean beast, then the owner of it may give money to get it back, in agreement with the value fixed by you, by giving a fifth more, or if it is not taken back, let it be given for money in agreement with your valuing. But nothing which a man has given completely to the Lord, out of all his property, of man or beast, or of the land which is his heritage, may be given away or got back in exchange for money. Anything completely given is most holy to the Lord. Any man given completely to the Lord may not be got back, he is certainly to be put to death. And every 10th part of the land, of the seed planted, or of the fruit of trees, is holy to the Lord. And if a man has a desire to get back any of the 10th part which he is given, let him give a fifth more. And a 10th part of the herd and of the flock, whatever goes under the rod of the valuer, will be holy to the Lord. He may not make search to see if it is good or bad, or make any changes in it, and if he makes exchange of it for another, the two will be holy, he will not get them back again. These are the orders which the Lord gave to Moses for the children of Israel in Mount Sinai.